everybody, and welcome to Anomalous Daily. I'm Digby. Today we are going to be discussing some new egg UFO footage. It's a bit confusing at this point, and I'm still doing some research. But a guy called Scott Roeder, who's a crime scene investigator, went on a podcast a couple of days ago called Through a Glass Darkly, and has got some new footage to share with us all. We all remember the UFO footage shown on the News Nation interview with Jake Barber, the egg. Let's have a quick recap right now and have a look at that original footage.
Let's slow this down to take a closer look. That's an egg-shaped UAP suspended from a 150-foot long line. We're told the craft is about 20 feet long. The egg suspended in a cradle. And look how careful the pilot is as they bring their precious cargo into land.
So we already know that this footage isn't the footage that came from Jake Barber himself. This is from a third party from another crash retrieval, which I've spoken about before, and I don't think was necessarily a good idea for this interview. It was about Jake Barber. They should have only shown footage that Jake Barber was involved with. But on a podcast yesterday called Through a Glass Darkly, a guy called Scott Roeder was interviewed who had been sent some new footage. Now, this new footage seems to suggest that there is some hidden technology in these eggs that these special cameras that they have has now uncovered. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. It's all very confusing. It seems to be that there is some more footage of this egg. Now, from what I understand at this point, and I may be completely wrong, they're claiming that this new egg footage is the same egg footage that was shown on News Nation, just clearer. Have a look for yourself, see what you think. Now, I agree this footage is clearer, but I don't think that that's the same footage. That's not the same footage that we saw on News Nation. This is a different egg. I mean, that's clear for anybody to see at this point, I would imagine. Look at the way that it's being held in the cradle. It doesn't match up to the News Nation footage at all. It's a completely different egg in a separate cradle. So if we're saying that this is the same footage, then we've already got a problem in this story. Let's have a look at a snippet from yesterday's interview and see if we can deep dive into this a bit more.
So right here, guys, this is the egg right here. They're calling this frame 265, okay? And what we see here is the contents of the egg. And now, based on the way their imaging system works, blue is hot and red is cold. And what they're telling me is that this blue area here is so hot that it is radiological, that it is radioactive, that it is the detonation. It is the payload. It's the explosive device for this egg. And this red piece right here is super cool, meaning that's the trigger. So when you lose the cooling system, the radiation system then can explode the egg, and then the contents of the egg are there for you to look at. Okay, whatever you want to make of that. So that is what they are telling me is the science behind their imaging system.
And who's they? These are the two owners of the
Well, the one
technology?
is the whistleblower, and the other is, as it turns out, I thought it was a peer review, but he's a partner in the whistleblower's private company. So
So you asked for the partner, or sorry, you asked for the whistleblower to provide you with
A peer
an
review.
independent peer reviewer with experience in this particular field. And which
Yeah.
particular field is this?
This quantum photographic imaging
Okay,
field.
so this is like a physicist that he referenced you to. Was it explained that he was a physicist, or did he?
Yeah, in a way, this guy. Well, and that's why we're not using names here, guys, because um, he's talking physics, but he's not a PhD. Um,
Well,
uh,
what questions did you ask him? Let's just go with that. You get this
well,
strange video, and by the way, there's more. There's another video that's
yeah,
associated with this, but we'll get to that.
yeah. This is the
What
first
questions
part of
did
it.
you ask him when you got this
Well,
this
I actually
expert?
recorded it with, he's like, I want to explain this to you. I'm like, all right. I jumped on a Zoom call. I'm like, okay, I'm recording this for posterity. I hit record. I was like, all right, explain it. And as he was explaining this image to me here, it went all over the place for a while. And then I'm trying to hammer down. I'm like, well, tell me your qualifications. You're talking to me a lot about physics here. Where did you get your PhD? He's like, well, I don't have a PhD. Well, where did you study physics? Well, he's self-taught. So, I'm not sure how much of a peer review that is.
So hang on, we're talking about the eggs now being explosive, having an explosive device inside them. We're talking physics with a guy who's self-taught and doesn't have a PhD. Okay, let's carry on.
But
Not
he
that
seemed to be
autodidacts don't know what they're doing.
no.
It's
Listen,
just the
he
probability that they do is
he
going to be
seemed
more.
very knowledgeable. By all means, he's a smart guy, and I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. But if I gave this to Avi Loeb or somebody at Harvard or somebody at MIT, and then they told me the same thing, then I'd be satisfied. But after almost 2 weeks of trying to hammer down to get these guys to even write me a one-page paper, I couldn't get them to do it.
So, do you know, were they able to explain what this quantum photography, kind of the mechanism by which it worked?
Well, yeah, I have notes here. Let me get
Well, before you
myself.
get into that, let's
Yeah,
show the. You want to show the? You want me to show the video,
yeah.
the other
Let's
video?
let's go with the. Yeah, let's go.
This
Let's
is
show
this
them
is the first this is the first image I saw, and it was creepy. All right, here we go. And I'll expand it so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
All right, what are we seeing here? Like, are these like
Well,
heads?
this is what we're seeing here is an egg, and we're seeing from what I'm told. And like I said, I want to be very clear. This is what I'm told. I'm not telling you that this is what this is. Okay, this is what I'm told by these guys, these whistleblowers. That that white area that's kind of glowing is the radiological that's the radiation coming out of the egg. And they believe that is what burned the pilot. And I think there's testimony that the pilot was burned.
Hold up. Wait a second. Now, let's rewind to the point where Jake Barber talks about his interview, talks during his interview about the time then he got radiation burns or radiation sickness. It wasn't while collecting the egg. It was collecting the octagon shape craft, the black craft. It wasn't the egg. There was no testimony that anybody got sick while collecting the egg. And now we're getting stories mixed up here. And we've also switched footage. We're no longer on the clean version of the egg footage. We're now all of a sudden back to the News Nation footage. Let's carry on.
If you believe his testimony. And then the green that's kind of emanating out of the egg is the payload that has been triggered to be released. And essentially, what I'm gathering, by putting, you know, A plus B together, is that C equals that they believe this is a Trojan horse that was set down so that it would be picked up, so that it could be released in an area that it wanted to be, that maybe it couldn't go independently. So literally an Easter egg, a poison Easter egg, was set down by some apparently not friendly other, so that it would be picked up by the greedy hands of the military and brought behind enemy lines to then be released. That's what I'm getting, is the story here.
Okay. Now, I don't know about you guys, but something seems very fishy to me. There is mixed stories here. We're confusing different craft one from another. There's no record of anybody getting radiation sickness from collecting the egg. It's claimed that this egg footage is a cleaner version of the other egg footage. It's not. It's not the same video. It doesn't even look remotely similar, apart from the fact we've got a night vision camera filming what appears to be an egg being set down. I would even go as far to say that this cleaned up version of the egg footage looks like it's been created by AI. I could be wrong. And if I am, I put my hands up. But there's too many different stories going on here. And now we've got quantum photography. And this quantum photography is being used to analyze footage that came from News Nation. That doesn't make sense to me. Was the original egg footage that they're saying is the cleaner version of the egg footage, was that filmed with quantum photography, or can we do it retrospectively? Can we look at any video with quantum photography now? It doesn't make any sense. And now it's a Trojan horse and releasing what I don't know what it's releasing. this I'm sorry. I saw this and I thought, great new egg footage, and I thought that this was going to be something great. And I have to say, at this point, this story is all over the place. Now, I'm not for 1 second suggesting that Scott's made all this up. I don't believe that 1 second. I know people who know him. He seems like a very trustworthy guy. He's a crime scene investigator. He testifies in court on crime scenes. You know, this guy seems legit. But for me, and from my experience and from the knowledge that I have and the research I've done, this does not make sense one tiny little bit. This story is all over the place. We've got self-taught physicists who can't write a paper to describe how this technology works. The two pieces of footage don't match up. They're not the same. It's not a cleaner version of that egg UFO. If anything, it's a completely different egg UFO. Although, in my opinion, more than likely, it's AI. I hope I'm wrong. But for me, on this one, I think we've got a big nothing burger, and somebody somewhere is trying to waste our time. If you don't agree with me, that's absolutely fine. Leave your thoughts in the comments. But from me, until next time, I've been Digby Furno, and this has been Anomalous Daily. Take care. Bye-bye.